Alrighty, guys, it is 3:30 this Tuesday, April 15th, tax day. And so the range bound continues to be a range bound. This afternoon, after that London close, I was getting some concern, a little bit concerned about the retest of these lows. They never made it down to the lows here at the 54.15s. Kind of stalled halfway through there down to the second standard deviations. I was halfway down the ropes. And that's it. They had the hardest time struggling to get down below it. Now, I think I said if they start taking out the 52 the 54.30s, we were looking at the potential short for a retest of these lows. And so after this first rundown, I didn't do much on that, but I kind of hesitated, kind of figuring out this that's the 130 update, which side to go on. And but I had to run up to the tablet and then I had a big rundown here. And then on that retracement, I did try a short trade. And at that point, fairly confident that they're going to try to take it lower when that happened, and when they failed to take it higher after that retest failure. So they get in. I was going to repair it here at 40s, had my stop outside at 45s. Turns out that they started going back and forth pretty violently here. Fair amount of volatility kicked in. And after faded just a little bit of heat, they started heading lower, and I moved my stop. And I was a little bit too aggressive, I think. I could have probably been more patient on that one, but they started to be pretty volatile. So I figured, man, if I read that wrong, I don't want to be necessarily in a losing trade after I started getting into the money. So my impatience kind of lost me that trade. So I ended up getting shaken out with $5, and that was it. I have not re-engaged it since. On the way down here, I was hopping on a short when it starts trading lower like that is always fraught with potential because you have to give up trade location. It's just a high, not that high of a probability trade. And if you try it, you will get crushed in this little run up here. So they failed to take it lower, and then pretty much ran it up, and it's been going sideways ever since. One attempt here a little bit not too long ago where they tried to take it higher. A pretty good move on that one. Nasdaq was even better looking, but this says no go. So we're in that last half hour and kind of flopping in the air, holding below the volume weighted mean. But I'm thinking range bound trading at this point going into the close. If they close below this low, the 52.25s, stay on the short side. I'm going to have to adjust my edges at that point going into tomorrow, but. If they close above it, just stay range bound going into the overnight. So maybe we'll see some weakness late in the session. But at this point, it's the way they are trading. I would just start off range bound, watching that lower edge at the 54.25s. So if that comes out, they close below that ledge, I would be starting on the short side. Otherwise, range bound. All right. So that's one trade on the ES, $5. That's got shaken out of that trade. I did take one more trade on the Nasdaq though. That was a shitty trade, I had to say. That one of those trades just like, oh, what did I think? So on the Nasdaq, I had the first trade I had was a short trade against this upper area. So that was on that first pullback from that retest. Short there. I was holding on to this one a little bit, and it looked to me like we had a good shot of heading lower. Got in, had a good trade going for a bit, got shaken out of that thing. They took a little bit higher. I hesitated on getting short again. And the whole thing kind of came apart to the downside. So that was interesting, but I could have re-engaged that, but I chose not to. So that was a shakeout. Then I tried one trade here now, and then going back and forth like this, and we saw this big move right up here, taking out the mean, and I bought it. So, are you kidding me, Peter? What are you doing? This is the worst kind of trade location you can get, and you had nowhere to go. So I sat in that thing, faded a little bit of heat, and as soon as I got in a little bit, I just got out of that trade. So what am I thinking? So that was a good call because you see what happened afterwards. They failed and ran it down here, and I would have been a pretty big loser at that point. So sometimes you do this stupid shit and you just get into a shitty trade. And when that happens, I would just get out of it, scratch the trade as soon as you can, unless you're immediately in the hole. But sometimes you realize that that wasn't a great trade location. So the trade to take here is really a short. If you, that's what you're looking at, failure to take it higher. Hopping on that momentum trade to the upside, sometimes they just rocket straight up, but you can have a pretty tight stop, and if that happens, you're out of the trade because that's not normally what happens. So when you realize that you're in a shitty trade, just get out of it. It's the best way to do it. And on the bonds, nice move to the upside. They ran out of gas here at the 14.28 to the 1.15s. They took it as a few ticks higher, but you can see here they start running out of gas going into that 2 o'clock hour, and since then they've been drifting lower. So they've been a net buying all the way into that 2 o'clock hour, and now they're just kind of drifting lower again. So trade bonds on the long side to get started. If they trade below that 14/16s, go back range bound. So with 2 trades on the Nasdaq so far, up $6, nothing to show for it. And finally, oil and gold. There's not much to say about those two. They're pretty much range bound, both of them. Range bound trading, sideways action, not much happening on these two at all. So just start off range bound on those going into the overnight. Fade the edges back to the main, same analysis as this morning. All right. So not much to say about those two. We are getting into Wednesday, Thursday, last 2 trading days of the week. So we'll see if we get any side of volatility pick up. Now, news for tomorrow. Just going back to the ES here. So the news for tomorrow is fairly busy. So we have at 8:30, we have mortgage apps at 7, and then we get the retail sales, industrial production. No, so retail sales at 8:30, industrial production at 9:15, business inventories and housing market index at 10. So 8:30, 9:15, and 10 we have news. 10:30 we get an oil report tomorrow. So we have news in most of the morning coming out. And then a 20-year auction at 1. So fairly busy news week or news day tomorrow. Then Thursday, not too much, but let's get through tomorrow first. So, and to be honest with you, 1.4 and 1.37 million contracts on the micro ES, 1.7 on the micro Nasdaq. Volatility definitely coming back down again, so that's good. Bars are pretty wild still though, but the volume is down, and it's not as crazy as it has been the last week. So anyway, not a huge showing. Up 5 on the ES, 6 on the Nasdaq. If we keep getting shaken out, and when it's volatile like this, that's what happens. And these bars are what? This is like 31 up to 39. So that's an 8-point bar. So about 8 to 10 point bars. A little bit on the big side, but it's still tradable, and you can still get close to an edge and get short without too crazy action. So anyway, we'll wrap it there, guys. So I'll see you guys bright and early in the morning, and so we'll go at it again. Alrighty. Have a good evening. Later.